All right. This is me and Lionel, Mark and Lionel, or better for some of y'all that know me, DC Mark 202, coming to y'all with our first podcast. We want to sit back and we supposed to start. This is my I got my buddy Lionel on the phone. We've known each other for basically all our lives. Gonna sit here, we're gonna talk about our team from DC, our team, the Commanders. Uh talk about, we started wanting to start this earlier this year, but we ain't never get a chance to. So we're gonna start now. The Commanders are in the playoff push. And we played today, played the Giants, ended up in a 2020 tie. And we're gonna talk to you guys about, our take on the game. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Larnell go ahead and introduce himself.
Yeah, Lionel here. Like I said, like Mark said, we known each other our whole lives. They're all the same schools and all that. Grew up right across the street from each other, so we've been lifelong suffering fans of this damn franchise. You know, last time they won, we won in what middle school. We were still in Patterson, so yeah. So yeah, been struggling, but hey, still here trying to hang on.
Yeah, we still here trying to hang on. And year after year, man. I can remember we could go back, man. We go back to so many memories watching this team. So many years, man. I could, man, all the way back to elementary school, man. We don't went through the Joe Gibbs era, the Richie Pettibone era. We done had the North Turner era, which was crazy because we that was our when you think about it, that was kind of like our best years besides Joe Gibbs. You had the second Joe Gibbs coming, and we just we watch year after year, take out the take. Teams, good team. We got 8 wins, 9 wins. We had maybe one or two 10-win seasons, and it's been a long, disappointing 25, 30 years. I can't even put two and two together. It's just been so long. We've just been losing so much. And but hey, that's in the past. We up to this new team, the new franchise, the Commanders. They up and down. They started the year 1-4, got back to 500. They led the way all the way up to 7-5 up until today when they tied with the Giants today, 7-5-1. Earlier I put just a little quick 10-minute video up on YouTube today, and I was talking about some of the keys that the Commanders needed to do to win. I knew this was going to be a tough game. I knew it was going to have to play the Giants. The Giants always have our number, no matter who they had in there. They always had Eli Manning. It don't even matter. Whatever quarterback they had, they always had our number. Daniel Jones always seems to run the ball on us like the second coming of Steve Young. I just can't understand. I said it was going to be a close game. I said it was going to be one of those games where the defense was going to have to step up, and Heineke try not to make too many mistakes. I knew he was going to make some mistakes, but I just don't know about this dude. Some he up, down. I mean, I just don't know what to say about him.
The thing is that that team was exactly what they always been. That team is not good enough to have to overcome a deficit of more than say 7 points. They're offensively not consistent enough. The pass rush was trash today. They couldn't hold up to simple rush concepts. It wasn't like the Giants was doing this exotic stuff. I don't know. It seemed more so than just the talent. It seemed like the scheme was broken. Scott Turner had tight ends trying to defend legit pass rushers, not like blitzer linebackers or DBs. Legit defensive ends. You cannot do that. There's no tight end. I don't care who it is can stop a defensive end. Like it's just not going to happen. And he got enamored with, and I understand we got all these weapons. You know, you got Terry McLaurin, you got Samuels, you got Doxson, you know, you got Robinson, you got Gibson, and you want to get all of them involved. But truth is, everybody not going to eat every game. So, and the strength of our team is run the ball, keep the passing game 25 passes and under, and play good defense. The defense had some breakdowns in the secondary, especially, and with gap control on the edges. Like it seemed like people were trying to do too much versus, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Play your gaps, make sure we keep everybody in front of us. They try to make the hero play, broke contain, all of a sudden Daniel Jones running for 20 yards, Saquon running for 40 yards, 30 yards out, stuff like that. I mean, it didn't happen often, thank God, especially in the second half. But yeah, I mean, this game went exactly as I thought. The surprising part is they retired, and because I just knew we were going to lose. I said, yeah. I remember I hit you up earlier. I said, we're going to lose this game. I said, because they couldn't get out of their own way. And how make you go ahead.
Yeah, but you know what? When you think about it, because I pulled up the stat sheet. Heineke was 27 to 41, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns. He gave the offensive line gave up 5 sacks. He had a rating a 101 rating, a QBR 27.9. He actually, when you look at the whole totality of the game, he had a good stat line, but it just don't feel like he he played to that level. It don't feel like he rose up to that level and he gave up those type of numbers. Through 41 balls. That's a lot of balls actually for Heineke. You want to try to, like you said, you want to keep him around 25 balls and somewhere around there. We ran the ball pretty good. Brian Robinson had 21 carries for 96 yards, an average of 4.6. Gibson added another 39 yards. Curtis Samuels had 23 yards rushing. So it seemed like they had a pretty productive offense, but it don't seem like they did enough. They had a couple drives to where they drove down the field and didn't come up with no points. So I was right. I was a little concerned about that. McLaurin again had 8 catches, 105 yards, a touchdown. But it just don't seem like they put up those type of numbers. It seemed like we had a dogged out game. They struggled, and to me it just felt like a loss today, not a tie, but it just felt like a loss. I understand, the tie is better than the loss. I understand that um it might come down to the get late in December to where the tie might say, okay, we got a tie over Seattle, or we had a tiebreaker over another other team that's fighting for a playoff spot. But it honestly feel like a loss. The defense struggled. We struggled today. We struggled against Saquon. We struggled against Daniel Jones. We had a guy late in the fourth quarter who the guy dropped the ball. Slayton dropped the deep ball. That was crucial because he was wide open. I was like, how he get wide open late in the game where you supposed to be locking people down? He running down the middle running down the field wide open, the left side of the ball. So I was kind of surprised about the defense giving up plays like that. And they definitely need to play better within the next 2 weeks when we play them again.
The biggest thing was that really concerned me was we really need Holcomb and we really need St. Juice back. I mean, more so than even Chase Young, because Holcomb would have played a lot of those the last 2 games, especially. He would have maintained that gap control. He would have maintained and cleaned up some of them plays that Mayo and Boxers they just can't handle. They don't read what's going on as well as Holcomb does. and he cleans up everything as a linebacker. He's not the greatest, but at least he knows his assignment and can play it completely. And Derek Force was horrible, not bad, horrible all game. I think they saw a couple of those plays he made in previous games and got a little thought he was probably better than he was right then. Because the last two games he was not good in coverage. And that's the thing, like you cannot give up those plays. The reason why we won some of those games is because of sheer luck with some of these people just dropping balls. Like if Slayton and would have dropped or Daniel Jones was a throwing overthrowing people because Daniel Jones not that good of a thrower, he's just not. And their receivers suck. So Slayton has one of the highest drop rates in the league. So because of that, if he would have somehow caught that ball, it's over. Game over.
Right,
Period.
right. Game over. And they, you know what? To me, when I watched the game, I watched the Giants did not. Giants to me didn't throw the ball really downfield until those last two drives, maybe
Mm-hmm.
three drives. Everything was seemed like it was out the backfield, or you catch a tight end sneak out after giving a block. They were just killing us with those same 2 or 3 yard plays, and then they'll turn it upfield and get a bigger gain than that. And I just didn't understand why our defense didn't adjust to it. When you playing against a guy like Dan, especially our pass rush too, because I think our pass rush was pretty much over pursuing. They was
Mm-hmm.
aggressive and they played aggressive, but I think they played right into what Daniel Jones wanted to do, was to get them to over pursue and commit too hard, and then he'll break it up either outside or break it up inside, and they was just killing us. They couldn't. They figured a way to stop it in the end, slow it down. But to me, I just don't think it should have been. I jumping up 10-0. I thought we should have ran away with the game. I didn't think that we was going to only score 10 more points the rest of the way. You know, I just thought that our defense was capable enough to slow them down, stop them, and don't just let them storm back the way that they did. I just found that to be ridiculous. But just like you said before, we definitely missed Cole Holcomb, St. Jude. Uh, I'm not even too worried about Chase Young because he never even been on the team yet this year on the field, so you can't even count him.
Yeah.
The other guys been balling out, but they overplayed some of those plays and they got themselves out of position, which opened up large holes for Daniel Jones, Saquon. So it was a night feel like a loss. I know I've been on social media getting a reaction from other Commander fans. They feel the same way as we do, and we just got to pull it together. We 7-5-1, got a bye week. Then we play the Giants again back here. And what you think about the second coming of the Giants coming up in 2 weeks? What you think some of the areas they need to do to try to do better?
What I believe is the next game in 2 weeks is going to be almost similar to this game. It's going to look very similar because the Giants are going to play the way they play against us this game today because it's it's the most effective formula that'll work against the Commanders defense. Because if you just try to run traditionally, they're gonna stop it. You're not gonna be able to run the ball on them traditionally. You got to put some read action, some RPOs in there, and I think it's going to be probably more so. I think they got away from it in the second half. I don't know why. It wasn't like the game was ever out of reach for either team. So they got away from it. And I think next game they're gonna probably lean more into it and not put the ball into Daniel Jones' hands throwing. And I think for the Commanders, it's probably gonna be the same way. And I think they probably gonna run the ball more because Brian Robinson Jr. was running the ball at the clip he was. Gibson also was running that. And Gibson, you cannot forget about that special teams play. I do not know what he was thinking. He almost got a safety after running back into the end zone. That is just terrible. Like you cannot do that. Like sometimes I don't know if Gibson is feeling some type of way because of the emergence of Brian Robinson, but man, you gotta have your head in the game with that. Like for real.
But I think on that call on that play, I think he let for one, he let the ball hit the ground. And that should have been a no. He should have got up underneath the ball. He let the ball hit the ground. He didn't pick it up initially. He ran over it,
Mm-hmm.
and he just misjudged it. You know, I don't know if it looked like he was trying to wait to see if the ball was going to bounce out of bounds or whatever he was trying to do. He blew that one. And but the other guy we got that was returning kicks, he had a couple bad special team plays too because he
Yeah,
put the
special
ball
teams. Yeah.
inside the 10 one
Mm-hmm.
time. I was like, dude, what are you doing? You don't know where you at on the field? I think he caught it like at the 5-yard line. Like,
Yeah,
dude, let that ball go. Let it bounce
so
in the end zone.
yeah, special teams was not good today. I mean, all facets had a hand in us losing this game. All facets had a hand of commanding everything. But offense obviously played the biggest role because every game we go in, what we gonna see? We know for sure Heineke's gonna have that one turnover. It's lock it in, it's going to happen. It's just when is it going to happen? Luckily it came early enough that they could overcome it, but it could come in the fourth. It's going to happen. At least one. He's going to turn the ball over. So you got to battle against that. So that's why if luckily we got Daniel Jones right off the back to get that first one. And but times like that, we have to punch those in for touchdowns. If you get a short field, because this team is not built for big. I mean, it has some big plays when it's like, okay, we gotta do it, but it's not built for big plays, big chunk yards, unless it's off some type of play action. That's why if we get down, it's over. We not made to come back. And now the next all the teams we're playing, okay, Cleveland you don't know because of Deshaun Watson. I mean, people act like he's gonna step back in, look like he did in 2019 and that. You can't miss that much football and just come back and play. So we don't know how caught up he's gonna be by the time the commanders get to him, but like it's everything we're playing is gonna be tough.
Right.
It's gonna be
They got
tough.
a
Go ahead.
they have a but before we get on their upcoming games, I know I got back ahead of myself a little bit. Let's talk about Daniel Jones. Let's give me get his stat line. He was 25 or 31, 200 yards, one touchdown. He had a rating of 104, a QBR 31. He was sacked 4 times. Then he had 12 curries, 71 yards with an average of 5.9 at 21 yard was his longest. And Saquon was 18 for 63. He had a 3.5 average. His longest one run was 21. So they kind of like had
Mm-hmm.
Saquon in check a little bit. 3.5
Mm-hmm.
average. That's pretty good. You had Slayton with 6 balls, 90 yards. Hodgins with 5 for 44 and a tight end Bellinger had 5 for 24. So they had a same like us a good. We seen when you look at the stats, it seemed like our offense was a little bit more explosive, but it don't. But they wasn't. They wasn't.
Definitely
They
wasn't.
stalled. Yeah, the stats are a little misleading, and the Giants had moved the ball quite a bit. They moved the ball. I felt they moved the ball comfortable against our defense. I was a little worried that they was going to pull it out, but they did pretty good. But going back to the special teams, I think late in that fourth quarter, when I want to say Butler had that he had that personal foul where he shoved the guy out of bounds. We had got the ball around the 40 or 50-yard
Mm-hmm.
line, we setting up for a field goal, and that penalty was crucial. That was a killer because we make one good throw, we in field goal range and kick the game winner. And he had that penalty, and that I don't know if the referees was rooting for the Giants. I don't know if the referees were because they had quite a bit of calls that went their way and didn't go our way. But hey, that's just the way it goes sometimes. So, but the Giants look good. They played good, and and that's the way it is. So, you
What
know,
was
we
what was apparent watching the game is that the Giants, like the Commanders, have more talent. They are the more talented football team, but the Giants are way better coached. Like most of their players do not try to do more than what they're asked. Sometimes we try to do things way too just play the game that needs to be played. Like when Montez Sweat, when he went in, that's when Saquon had his big run because he went in way too far. He dove in, broke contain, man is over. Because every time on them read options, everybody knows how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? You read the defensive end. That's what the quarterback and running back do. They read the defensive end. If the defensive end crash in on the running back, quarterback takes off. So the defensive end is responsible for the running back. One of the linebackers is responsible for the quarterback. You cannot dive into the quarterback, then all of a sudden now it's an open lane. And
right,
when and hitting on penalties, like you said, yeah, penalties was the referees was trash. They was just trash. They missed the call on the offensive PI earlier when on Slayton when it was obvious he threw him to the ground. They missed the call on Terry McLaurin. They called it, talked about it, then picked the flag up when Terry McLaurin was obviously interfered with. Then running out of bounds, the guy hit him. I don't know what he was doing. Dude, what are you thinking? He's out of bounds. Why are you hitting him? Second, and then the call, the block in the back on Logan Thomas was I didn't see that, but Logan Thomas was probably single handedly the worst player on the Commanders all night. He did absolutely nothing.
right,
He killed one drive by himself. Two penalties, devastating penalties. You can't do those types of things. The offense is not good enough to go down first and 20, first and 15, second and 17. It's just not. So when you do that, when we are run dominant, defensive dominant team, and you automatically put it behind the A ball, it's going to be fun. Like you said, it had two big drives, long drives, didn't need to come in with a field goal. Oh yeah, and Joey Slye missed the kick.
right, right. That was crucial. Even though I don't agree with that second penalty, that block in the back, that was a
Mm-hmm.
BS call. That was a BS call. The ref called it. I don't
Yep.
agree with that one, but hey, I was just looking over on check this out. But the Chiefs lost to the Bengals
Oh,
27-24. Yeah,
yeah.
I picked the Chiefs to win that one. So I'm a little disappointed in that one. I picked them to win. But
Bengals ain't scared of them, man.
I know it seemed like last year and this year they come and bring it to the Chiefs both
That's,
years.
but that's the difference between when you got that type of quarterback. The
Right,
reason why they're not scared, they got Joe Burrow. The reason why the Chiefs are not scared because they got Patrick Mahomes. That's why the Bills not scared. They got, you know, Josh Allen. When you got that type of quarterback, you ain't scared of nobody because
right,
I got that dude. No matter what, I got that dude. And it's just apparent that we need a quarterback. And I know this is our first podcast, and luckily if we keep doing this, it's going to look 50 gazillion times better. But I'm gonna say this off the jump. My God, offensive coordinator is trash. He is not his dad. He's not. He do not know how to build off what was working. It's like okay, we're doing this, then this should work. No, man. You look at formations, you look at concepts, you look, okay, let's do this. Like I remember they did that toss play 2 times in a row. Like, what the what are you doing? Like, come on. Like you barely got 7, 8 yards off the first toss. So you flip the field, move the wide receivers over, and then did it again, and you ain't getting nothing. What wide receivers you see on the field? Them guys like 5'11" and down. Like who they blocking?
but
You
when you
know.
think about this, a lot of people on social media has been talking about Heineke and Carson Wentz. You get a lot of people saying that, hey, we need to make the switch to Carson Wentz. I'm one of the guys. I want to ride the ship out with Heineke until the Titanic sink. You know, I don't want to change a quarterback right now unless it gets to the point to where we don't have to make it. We have to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Wentz to me right now would be just a sitting duck behind our struggling
Agreed.
O line.
Agreed.
Stick to running the ball. Stick to using Heineke, taking those soft underneath throws. Maybe push the ball down the field from time to time. What's your take on that?
I agree. Heineke, people and Mark, we've been watching football since we was little. And when you watch football that long, two things, you gotta take the emotion out of it. Don't go off, as a fan, you could go off watching it, but when you go back and look at the plays, look at the highlights, that's why every game we watch, win, lose, always go back and look at highlights, look at certain plays, look at certain things that I'm like, hold on, did I see what I thought I saw? So once we go back and you see that, it's something about Heineke that people neglect the effect he has on the rest of the team. It's not just about his play on the field. I think people forgot Carson Wentz sucked. Like he wasn't good. Yes, you forgot when he threw that interception at the goal line against Tennessee. Y'all forgot. It's how it is. Whoever not playing is the greatest player ever. No, Carson Wentz. Yes, he's physically more talented. Carson Wentz could throw the ball 65 yards in the air. But Carson Wentz has no pocket presence. Carson Wentz do not have the connection with his teammates. He damn sure don't have the connection with Terry McLaurin. So when you look at all of that, unless you go on to Sam Howell, which if they didn't go to him, he's obviously they feel he's not ready. But going back to Carson Wentz, you're going to be at the same thing that you dealt with the first 5-6 games of the season, where Carson Wentz, yes, he's going to throw some amazing deep balls, but his short game is probably worse than Taylor Heinicke's. He sails the ball all the time. Both of them do. Both of them do. They sail it high. Now I don't know why Carson Wentz does. He has the arm strength to make every throw. So I don't know why he do it. Taylor Heineke, he's short and he's trying to make sure he get it there. So he put a little bit too much on it. But yeah, you got to ride Heineke at this point. At this point, we're playing with house money here. You start 1-4 and now 7-5-1. Hey, look, Dan Snyder. After Dan Snyder announced he was selling the team, everything else that happened, I'm just taking it as gravy at this point. So
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's where it comes to. Once he announced that was the best news we could have in a DC area in a long time. But I'm like you, I want to stick with Heineke. I think he's the guy that's going to lead us down and hopefully into the playoffs. We could make it. As long as we stick to the running game and play with our defense, Heineke, I expect Heineke to have an interception. I expect him to have a fumble. I just don't want him to have it at a crucial point in the game. That's where it comes down to. You knew he gonna make mistakes. You knew he's going oh, that's gonna happen, but just don't do it at a critical point in the game, you know. So this our first one. We got less than a minute left. This our first one. Anything else you want to add on before we close this out?
Hey man, just got 2 weeks to breathe. Get some of them people back. Maybe Sweat. Definitely need to get home from the St. Jude's. But hey man, hey look, Dan Snyder selling the team, and hey, we got meaningful games in December. I can't get mad at that.
All right.
Hey, right now it's all gravy, though.
It's all gravy, man. So all right now. Till next time.
All right, man.
All right.